Welcome to Modern Homestead, Alaska. I am Jessica. If you are new around here, it is nice to meet you. Thank you for joining us today. I'm going to take you along. We're going to see what needs to get done, what we can do, all sorts of stuff. I have about 1 million projects on this homestead and the weather not cooperating. It, however, is not raining right this minute. So it's actually fairly decent out. So I thought instead of going inside and doing some inside projects, maybe I would try and do a couple of things outside. It literally rained so bad yesterday on Monday that I am just like, are you kidding me, is what it feels like a little bit. But I'm ready, I'm motivated. And I think the first weird thing that I'm gonna do is I uncovered this pile of wood for it to dry out, then it rained on it. Now the pile of wood needs to dry out. Aaron said move it all into the garage. I'll pre-paint it. We're doing a huge project inside of the coop. That is what all of this wood is for, but now the wood is wet. It's not ruined, but it does need to dry out. So I think the first thing I'm gonna do today is start just standing it up all along the fence here. And then this afternoon, I'll move all of it into the garage, just a couple of sheets at a time. Let it dry out, and then I can start painting all of it. And then I think I might go try and do something with the raspberries over there in just a second. So we're still about a month out. Wyatt is working on the second phase of our yard project. What he's doing right now is everything by the barn has to be cleared that way because that shelter logic has to move over there, and we're gonna store all of our hay, feed, all of the wonderful things for our little cow who's gonna stare at me the whole time. She's so freaking cute, you guys. But even though we're about a month out, this is a very hard project to deal with once it starts growing. First of all of the raspberries I have, that's what this is the raspberry row. They bloom on old wood and they're already budding out. So that is wonderful, but it is full of like weeds and issues and so on. So right now is the perfect time for me to come through, cut off everything that is old growth, not new, not last year's growth, but previous growth, and rake it up and clean it. And I can also get some cardboard or some paper in here and get some wood chips on top of it to try and stop the weeds from growing. Eventually, when we have like a, our goal is to have like a food forest in the sense of like fruit trees, bushes, berries, all of those sort of things. These will get transplanted out of the garden here and then into that, and then the whole thing will be vegetable garden, if you will. But that is not going to happen this year, and these raspberries are just so beautiful, so big and fantastic. However, I don't want to walk on the rest of my garden until it is time, because it will smush down. It is so wet from all of the runoff, the melt, the rain, the whole thing. The garden is gonna react the same way as the muddy driveway. So I'm trying to avoid all of that and walk on these permanent walk paths. And I don't have very many permanent walk paths in my garden. However, on both sides of the raspberry is a permanent walk path until all this gets transplanted out and we redo things. So with that, I can clean up around here, and I'm hoping to run some wires that kind of keep it like this. So let's get to work on that, and I'll take you along This is probably the only garden thing I can do outside right now. And then I maybe want to rake up the rhubarb. But you guys, we are already growing grass and weeds. And I want to come through and pull all of this before we redo garden beds. And what I found was funny is I pulled all of these onions are just like, look, they were scallions that went to seed. Why are they green? Aren't those gorgeous? I don't know. I think that's wild. And then over there, that is the garlic. And we had a great snow year. So we had plenty of snow to help insulate, and I super covered and buried and insulated that. We do need to wait for it to come up a little bit in temperature in order to uncover the garlic. So we have to grow a hardneck variety up here in Alaska, and you plant it all out the year before. We did all of that fun stuff, and so hopefully all of that has survived, and that bed will stay exactly like that, whereas the rest of this will change like it does every year. So let's work on raspberries because we can. Here's a fun raspberry fact while we're doing this. Raspberries actually grow on two different types of canes, old wood and new wood. The first year canes are called primicanes, and they're a fresh green growth that you see shooting up in the season. The second year canes are called floricanes, and those are the ones that usually produce fruit before they die back. That's why raspberry pruning can feel very confusing and difficult at first, because some canes are growing while others are finishing producing, and depending on the variety, some raspberries fruit only on old wood, that's the kind we have, while others can actually produce on new growth too. It's pretty amazing for such a tiny berry plant. All right, so I started cutting a line in over there. This is a huge deal here. I need to stand them up somehow and then get up underneath them. But I pulled this one out of the walkway, so I might just stick that one in the ground. Okay, so I started using, I have this floor scraper here, right here, and I just started like cutting a line in as best I can. It doesn't need to be absolutely perfect. So I think I'll jump over here so I can get to that other end. I don't know about you, but I actually started gardening here in Alaska, and so I don't actually know as much as people will give me credit for knowing. I did escalate it very, very quickly and learn a lot. But what I'm finding on these raspberries is this is last year's stems, and they are covered in tiny little, I don't know, I doubt the camera picked that up. Tiny little things. However, that's where the new buds are all growing. So I was just kind of cleaning them up so that I can kind of snake my way underneath here and pull out what I need, and then I just started cleaning them up as I was going. So I think I'll clean these up for a few minutes and then get the string underneath so that I can reach under here, clean out the bed, and get anything out of the walkway, pull any of the raspberries out of the walkway that are creeping their way this way. So I think I'm just gonna slowly work my way along here. So I'll try and set you up someplace where you can get the process, maybe right there. Oh my goodness, friends, would you look at that? It is the first week of March and we already have one bed almost completely cleaned up. And I keep watching all these other garden channels and they have beautiful flowers and everything is blooming and it is fantastic. And we are so far behind up here, but because we have so much daylight here shortly, we catch up with everyone. But we do, I'm sweating. We started behind, but I'm glad I had this hoodie on with the hood over my head because I kept catching those raspberry bushes. Oh, in fact, I can feel some of them. Oh, I have thorns in my hair. Okay. Oh, that does not feel good. All right. Anywho, look at that. I can't believe it. I am so excited. All right, I'm going to finish raking up and then I got to get, I might go check on the rhubarb bed, rake that, and then I think I'm gonna go seed start here in a minute. So I am feeling really good about how this is going. Goodness. Okay, so I think what I need to do this week is grab some berry tone. The biggest mistake I made with the raspberries early on, and I was just gonna share this with you guys really quick because I keep thinking about it and not saying it, is they don't like wood chips. I just want you to know that. The whole front section of these raspberries here, I got from my neighbor. She just dug them out. So there's some weird stuff in the ground or whatever. They were on their property, like this massive berry patch, when they bought their house. So he just dug them out with the skidster, brought them over here. We threw them in the garden really early on, and we had wood chips. That's kind of what we use to kind of start the beds and those sort of things, and I covered them over. And what happened was I bought one raspberry bush, just like, I think it was a 2 or 3 gallon thing. And that is this whole bush here, the great big ones. And I even had to separate it when I moved it over here. And it is a very, very vibrant. But there were never any wood chips involved here. I then looked it up and learned later that they don't like it. They don't like that, like, breakdown, the robbing of the nutrients and so on. However, I managed to rescue and save the smaller ones that I got and letting them grow up. We also had like a really big snow year in the middle of all of it that broke all of the raspberries and so on. However, do not use wood chips with your raspberries. It is fine as a ground topper to prevent kind of weeds, everything getting down, and they will come up through it, but don't let it mix in with the soil in any way. But some berry tone, and now that the wood chips have pretty much broken down and made some really beautiful soil over there, they're happy, they're fine. It just has been such a learning curve for me. However, this raspberry bush here that I never used wood chips on, near, around, whatever, it is so happy and thriving. So I think I'll get some berry tome. Everything you see here, I took the time to go through. I see maybe a couple of here that I can trim out real quick, but they all have buds on them. So all of this is gonna turn into a massive, beautiful raspberry wall. However, there were 3 of them that were in the walkway. I just yanked them up by the root and stuck them back in the ground. Will they survive? We don't know. That one seems very, very hardy, and that's the same weird way that I did the giant one at the end. And if they are hardy and happy, they'll survive. If not, no big deal. They were gonna be tossed and thrown away anyway. So I now set this 2x6 here to see if that was a good idea and what we wanted to do. It is. I do need pressure treated to just kind of hold them back on that side. And then I decided to leave the other side, and I will use some fresh wood chips in that walkway over there. Also, hopefully they're not spreading that direction. And then the sooner we can get them out of the garden, the better. So with that, berry tone, easy peasy. Plant the right berries for where you live, your environment. And do not use wood chips in, amongst, or around the root system of your raspberries. They just do not, absolutely do not like those. They will not thrive in there, and you have to fight really, really hard to get them to live. So, whew, I might be one of the earliest gardeners here in Alaska. Unless you're in, Alaska is the largest square mileage state, and it would take up multiple states. There isn't another state in comparison to our size. Of course, there are some southern areas, the islands, and so on that are probably, oh my gosh, there's a chick out, and that is amazing. I think it can full on fly. Wow. Let me get Wyatt. So I was just gonna talk to you for a second while I fill up these trays, and we're gonna do some seed starting. And I just wanted to talk about, you know, what is so funny about gardening in Alaska is most people think nothing grows here. And then summer hits and suddenly it feels like the entire state is trying to grow everything all at once. The growing season may be short, but Alaska gardeners can absolutely grow wild gardens. Thanks to those long summer days, some plants grow incredibly fast. In parts of Alaska, we can get close to 20 hours of daylight in the summer, which honestly feels like nature's giving us gardeners overtime hours. That's why you'll hear stories about giant cabbages in Alaska. We grow the world's largest pumpkins up here, and we're talking like record-breaking size. Some of them get so big, they literally look fake. It's like the vegetables know winter is coming and they're in a race against the clock. And honestly, gardening here feels a little like hope. Every tray, every seed, every tiny sprout starts while there's still snow piles sitting outside. You're planting, you're believing for warmer days that they're coming, even when it still looks like it's winter outside of the window. I think that's part of why so many Alaskans love gardening. After months of cold and dark, suddenly everything comes alive. Greenhouses fill up, windowsills, my living room has disappeared under seedlings, and everyone starts talking about what they're growing this year. And somehow, every year, no matter how many plants we already have, we managed to convince ourselves we definitely have room for a few more tomatoes, potatoes, or whatever is on our list. I also love that gardening slows life down a little bit. You can't rush seeds. You can't demand that they grow overnight. It just keeps showing up, watering, tending, doing all the little daily things, and eventually something beautiful comes from it. That feels a lot like homesteading in general, honestly. Small work, repeated over and over, eventually turns into something meaningful. A pantry shelf full of food, a greenhouse full of starts, a home built piece by piece. And maybe that's why I love seed starting so much, because tucked inside these little trays is the beginning of summer dinner, greenhouse mornings, fresh herbs, muddy boots, and probably way too many zucchinis. And if you garden in Alaska, you already know once the season starts, it moves fast. Oh my. So I think I need to up pot those, but I was looking at them and I think they'll last until next week. So I think they're gonna be fine, but I might get them on a tray. However, we're gonna do some seed starting, and here I am in my kitchen again, making a mess of things. It is 7 o'clock in the evening and it is so, look at this, bright and sunshiny. The dogs are out there just playing away. We have had so much rain. It has been almost exhausting, I'm not gonna lie. So we're gonna get seed started and I'm gonna just run through and do it. All I did was pack some soil into these start trays. Then they're gonna go on. I'm going to get all the seeds going and then I'll bring you right back and tell you exactly what we seed started. So I started all my seeds the exact same way for the most part. I fill whatever container it is with soil. I put the seeds in and I make sure to water them in just a little bit, and I cover it with some plastic, making sure to label, but I kind of want to create like that greenhouse effect, keeping the seed wet and moist the entire time, and this plastic wrap really does a good job of doing that. I had an idea I wanted to run by you guys for a second. You know, the more that I garden, the more I think we need to bring back the idea of victory gardens. Not because the world is ending, not because we should live in fear, but because there's something deeply good about knowing how to grow our own food again. During World War II, families across America and Europe and all across the world really planted victory gardens. Backyards, empty lots, little patches beside houses. People grew whatever they could. Tomatoes, potatoes, beans, carrots. It wasn't about perfection, it was about contribution, about resilience, about families doing what they could with what they had. And honestly, I think there's something beautiful in that idea. Because a garden is more than vegetables. It's teaching patience, responsibility, stewardship. It slows you down enough to notice the seasons again. And I think somewhere along the way, a lot of us lost connection with where our food even comes from. We walk into a store, grab produce off the shelf. We never think about the seed, the soil, the weather, the work behind it. But when you grow even one tomato plant, suddenly you understand food differently, you appreciate it differently. And here in Alaska, gardening feels even more special. We fight mud, frost, wind, moose, random snowstorms in places there shouldn't be a snowstorm. And somehow we still grow these things. And that's what I love about the whole victory garden idea. It's not about fear. It's about building a life with intention, learning skills, feeding your family a little bit better, sharing extra zucchinis with your neighbors, because somehow every gardener grows way too much zucchini. And maybe your victory garden is huge. Maybe you have a raised bed or a greenhouse, and maybe it's just herbs in your windowsill and one brave tomato plant trying its best. It all honestly counts. I think the real victory is simply trying again, growing something, learning something, becoming a little more capable than you were last season. And honestly, in a world that feels loud, fast all of the time, there's something peaceful about quietly planting seeds. Oh my goodness, it is 8:30 at night and I'm just now starting dinner for Aaron, who just walked in from work. So, what time did you get up this morning? 4:30? 4 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. So, I'm gonna feed him and then I'm gonna show you what we planted, and I still have a bit more to go, but I think you're gonna be impressed, and then I'm gonna explain to you why I did some of the plants that I did and why flowers can be so important in your vegetable, your victory garden, all of the things that we're doing around here. So hang with me for just a second. Let me make him dinner and I'll take you over to the seats. Real life. So Aaron and I had taco salad really quick. So I just fried up the meat, did a little taco seasoning. We had some onion in the house, the leftover tomato, the avocado from this weekend, and the lettuce. So we had some cheese and just whatever chips were on hand. So it was perfect for him and I. Wyatt just took off with his little friends that I had run into in the gas station, and they gave me big hugs earlier. So I'm so happy. A bunch of his friends are home from college, and it's just exciting to see all of the boys getting in and around the house again. So let's walk over to the seeds first. Ignore the mess, because now I'm just setting stuff everywhere, and I didn't push that back because I wanted to walk you over there. But on my way, the dogs are eating. I have a whole lot going on. Here we go. I want to show you these pots. They are doing amazing. I kicked this one over here in front of the sunlight because these three are getting light from the units here that Aaron built me. And oh my goodness, I cannot believe it's been days, not even a week, I don't think. And they have put on so much growth. What happy, happy little plants. Look at those back there. Oh my. They are gonna be massive. Love, love, love it. Update on the dahlias. So these are the ones that we pulled out of the ground and saved ourselves. Our tomatoes, I think, have doubled in size since we upplanted them, less than a week. And look at these, the size. I'm gonna be really careful. Oh, we don't wanna break anything. Okay, how am I gonna get you in there to see? How am I gonna do this, friends? Look at the size of all these. Look at the size of that dahlia back there. That is amazing. These, I think I'll upplant. I am still waiting on, I keep talking about, I have a green stalk coming, two of them actually, one for the porch and one for the chicken coop, and I don't think I told you that. One is getting planted out in strawberries. That's one that's gonna go out by the chicken coop. And then the other one is gonna be full of herbs and maybe some flowers on the front porch, which is where we always do that garden. Our celery is kicking off. But what I think I'm gonna do, some of this is herbs, some pineapple mint and some other things. And then these are plants. And I am starting to worry a little bit that they're gonna be way too big before it's time to plant them out. So we, day by day, will just work on this together and figure it out. But look at these. They're just, everything is so stinking happy. These flowers open and close, and they are already flowering. The vines are growing. The herbs are doing just amazing. All of this. These, oh my goodness, these bubble gum, I cannot wait. I just want to put it in a pot or the ground and just watch it go absolutely bonkers. The Estabella, I forget how you say this, but oh my gosh, those are getting huge. Perfect. Okay, now let's jump over here and see what we did. So this is some more herbs. I'm sorry about that. The dogs just started going completely wild, like Aaron just got home. So someone called when I went to film the end of this. I'm a wreck. I feel sunburnt. I've been doing an SPF 70 and I got sunburnt this weekend and I feel like I got sunburnt again today. So here's what I did. My little seed starting today is 4 trays of nasturtiums. Nasturtiums have more than one use, and I think I'm gonna layer in a couple of photos here for you of how big our nasturtiums got last year. And they literally got so big in the raised garden beds, the planters that we took over to our neighbors, that they cascaded down the sides and you couldn't even see the planters. And those are some huge planters. The other purpose of a nasturtium is it is a trap plant. So it is someplace where a bug may go and eat it and leave other things alone. The nasturtiums in the garden just became absolutely massive. The ones in the greenhouse, it did not matter if I put them in the flower bed out here, if I put them in a hanging basket, if I put them in the ground, if I put them in a pot. They do not care. They just get absolutely huge. And we are going to have so much open dirt and ground that will eventually become like flower beds and planting and trees and all of these beautiful things. But I need to put something in that soil this summer to cover the ground and to just worry about soil health and worry about those things. And something super cheap and easy is nasturtiums. And we did one of them up here is called Night and Day. One is a black velvet. One is a cherry red. The other one is kind of a lemony yellow with some red in it. And the last one, the Night and Day. So some are really dark and some are really, really light and that's a mix. The other things that I have started is I had this up here. What was I doing? Oh, okay. The other day was planting the ranunculus and the anemone. And look at, I soaked them. I did the like 3-hour thing. And I was looking at this today. There we go. Look, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but we're bloom, bloom. We have 2 blooms. These have not even been planted for a week. Nothing going on over here yet. So I had this other thing of soil up here. From those, I wasn't sure how many I needed. So I did pumpkins here. We're gonna grow 2 kinds of pumpkin, a Connecticut field pumpkin and then the small sugar ones. And we actually grew enough pumpkins last year to not only have beautiful fall decorations all throughout the house, but I turned all of those sugar pumpkins into pies and saved it and froze it, and I do like dog food and all sorts of things out of the pumpkin. So that is exciting. Now, we're a little late on the seed starting, which is why we've taken some help from the greenhouse. And you know what? Stop stressing yourself. That's what I'm telling myself. There's this massive project going on. I have a huge garden. I have people coming to the house. I have the kids' wedding. I have so much beauty happening in my life right now that I am not going to worry myself. I'll take help where I can, but start what I can. So what I started in these little trays here, same as the nasturtium trays, is I did one that is beets and one that is cauliflower. Now, the reason I've started the cauliflower way too late is maybe a little bit of succession planting. Beets I can direct sow, but I can succession plant those as well. And we did nasturtiums and pansies. One of my favorite thing about pansies up here in Alaska is, pardon me, they grow the whole season. And I think it's because our temperatures very much mimic spring-like temperatures for the lower 48. And with that, the pansies don't get tired, they get huge. And again, they can fill in pots, they can be planted out. And I just really have always loved pansies. So I went ahead and seed started some of those. The last thing we seed started was cucumbers, zucchinis. So I did, I think, 3 cucumbers, 2 kinds of green zucchini, and 2 kinds of, one's a yellow zucchini and one is considered a squash, but they're like the yellow zucchini basically. So we did one of each kind of that and so on. And these vines, now here's the thing, they don't love it. Pumpkins, zucchinis, cucumbers, all of that, they do not love their roots being messed with. And so I did plant more than one seed in each cell, and I will pick off the weaker if both of them, you know, kind of sprout and do their thing, because separating them, they really don't like that. They really shock when you put them in the ground. There's a whole lot. However, up here in Alaska, we need more time than what direct sowing will do. Whereas you're in Missouri, you know, Texas, Kansas, any of the places that I was used to, you can direct sow these. You do not need to seed start them. So there's something on other gardening channels where they will actually tell you, oh, you don't seed start those because they don't like it, they don't enjoy it, all of that fun stuff. But up here in Alaska, we have to seed start those ahead of time. And they get pretty good size before we put them out. But with all of that, everything is just looking absolutely amazing. I keep cutting the basil back because it is taking off, but basil is absolutely one of my favorite herbs, and so I don't mind. I just throw it in things. It's pretty wonderful, but look at this one. This Thai basil needs a good cut back. Oh, it just smells like heaven though. Oh my goodness, you guys. Well, with that, I may be the only, I said it earlier, maybe the only Alaska gardener up at least in this zone 3, 4, 2, that sort of area that's probably throwing things in the ground or dealing in the actual physical ground and gardening right now at this point. So I am so happy with the raspberries and what is going on out there. And I am a little bit relieved to have so much started ahead of time. My focus in the garden this year is what can we preserve and how much beauty can we bring to this homestead. So with that, thank you guys for being here today. Thank you for being you. Thank you for following along and this journey and all the extra things we have going on. It is the most busy season for us, but it's not as busy as when the garden is actually planted out. That season is incredibly hard to like share videos and do as many as we're doing right now. Right now I have enough downtime. I'm making extra videos. So with that, I hope you enjoy the extra content. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel, ring the bell, you'll get notifications, all that fun stuff. With that, I hope that you are blessed. I hope you have a beautiful remainder of your week, whatever is left, wherever you're at, and I hope you find a reason to be grateful. I hope you will come back and see me in the next video. Bye for now.